voted to domestic
themselves into the politics of America, because we know it's happening, right?
Yes, it is. And what our counterintelligence unit is doing is aggressively seeking the intelligence into where these individuals are working. Then we are utilizing, and just because we've caught a few doesn't mean we've caught everybody. We've got a lot more to go.
I get one more quick question in. The FBI arrested a judge in Wisconsin, Hannah Dugan, for interfering with a federal law enforcement operation.
To me, you know, we as a body have spoken as it relates to who we want to lead investigations and investigative work. The Oversight Committee, as the chairman has no doubt noted throughout this entire hearing, has already yielded, 34,000 documents.
Going with the advice for the counsel of the victims today, which we had already planned on this, but we're definitely moving in that direction, is to go after the bank records and the suspicious activity reports, much like we did.
For some reason, I don't know why, but they say that you can't burn a certain type of fiber, and if it goes in the ground, we're all going to die. President might be, but that gives you total control. It's 51% ownership by Americans. And we have a company, a great company, Nippon. They're coming in from Japan. They're going to spend $17 billion. And somebody said, well, what happens if it doesn't work out? I said, they spent $17 billion. We can't put it on a trailer and drive it to Japan. This is still so much water. They sent it all out to the Pacific Ocean for 20 years. So ridiculous. And we got them to take it now. But what they do and what they're doing, this is a big problem. And what they really want to do is keep. And I spoke to them and I talked about trade. I said, but you're not trading with us if you're going to go to war, if you're going to start throwing nuclear weapons around. And I said it to both of them, and they were both unbelievable, actually. They understand. They never want to bring up the details. But I watched, and we'll leave. I don't have to leave it up to them, but I choose to at this moment, at least. But there's never been anybody treated in the history of politics. You know, they say the two worst treated presidents by the media, etc., was that man right there, the late, great Abraham Lincoln, and this guy right there, Andrew Jackson. So I was more interested in that. But I do remember that scene. I said, what the hell is going on over here? This historic action will also help us reduce inflation and bring down the cars within a very short period of time. Think of this case. They have them on tape. They have everything. And then a judge gives them a little probation. These are rough guys. And they're young. Cost them thousands of dollars with new computers and stop it. The engine.
For that. It doesn't look like a criminal backgrounds and medical problems have long been an issue of recruitment in America, unfortunately. What changed is the perception of military service because of the condition of the services, and frankly, because of, in some ways, the way our schools don't teach young people to love the country anymore. And if you don't love the country, why do you want to serve that country? That's a deeper problem. But all of those things need to be addressed to revive recruiting, and obesity is certainly a part of it.
Thank you for that.
Residential burglary not in progress. 714 West 3rd, 714 West 3rd. Contact Travis, 81 0114. 0114.
Marco, 44 accident, Marco. We don't see anything.
Anyone else?
So I think it's
so manufacturers can put whatever they want into the comparative intervention and can still call it a placebo by law. Furthermore, scientific
That is my first location. AC 909 or Okay.
1813.
Citation. Living and writing, 4.2.
Go ahead. Thank you. Somebody arrived and working at the 1324 Craig Street call.
Request to cancel, stay clear.
Yeah, received. We're available.
That is clear. Name, please.
Rock 2710.
Operation, I'm not getting any return on this radio. I actually just spoke to Romy. I'm going to have to take it over there in a bit, but I was hoping you can call me at 361-429-9732. Repeating 361-429-9732 in reference to resetting my password for to get into my NDT. Again, I'm not going to be able to hear you come back.
105 location.
2100 Business 77. Nora Victor Tom 9617. Nora Victor Tom 9617.
10-4, let me just pull over real quick. Don't worry. Private traffic? 25 Mizzen Street, 13825 Mizzen Street. Parked on the street with no license plate, a flatbed trailer. There is no other information. 10-4, can you spell the street? Z. 10-4, thank you. Go ahead.
NV1 control. Please. AC 909 to dispatch.
Dispatch, medic one, we're right, shoreline 7.0.
7.0.
Me en route to 3762 Southport. Carlos and I have to go rewire that today anyway. We'll look at it.
Roger. Roger.
Dispatch, medic 13 is going to be code 1 Bay Area 0.1.
Maybe 2002, Louisville Fire Department, Medic 72, Justine, 922 West River Drive. Maybe 2002, Fire Dispatch 22.
New Jersey. Medic 15 from FMO1.
Engine 5, Medic 2, Justine, 4102, Leopard, ESV 9030. Engine 5, Medic 2, Justine, 4102, Leopard, ESV 9030, EMS 1922.
Bingo. Bay Area, Medic 13.
Excuse me.
Go ahead and attach it.
Shortness of breath on exertion.
Video history AFib, currently showing AFib, RVR. Last 7 pulse was at the 154. Setting at finger stick of 221 and a temperature of 97.
Slightly 75-year-old female of 12, complaint of at a rate of 60 and at milliamps of 130. Did administer one dose of 1 to 10 epi, as we did not feel pulse. However, she started to come to. Her vitals are as follows: heart rate of 60, setting at 90% on room air. We are going to give supplemental oxygen via non-rebreather. We have IO access on the left humeral head. Current ETA is 12 minutes.
Sure.
Currently working out blood pressure.
105 clear.
And 5 in clear.
EKG shows sinus Brady at a rate of 20.
That's a copy. I'll go to Charlie on arrival.
Dispatcher, medic 2.
Hi, Tim.
No units needed here. We're going to need PD for this location for this patient here.
I'll wake up your need PD. I don't see her pass.
Southport call. You can show me 5 minutes.
It's been fixed.
10-4, thank you.
Come on. EC930 dispatch. EC930 dispatch. Six one three.
Go to dispatch. 402 base, 1024. You can show me arrived at 2330 Reagan Street.
EC930 over you, check.
On kids.
Nine, go ahead. Stage. Attention EMS, attention EMS. Need to route to Funtime RV 400 West Avenue C, lot number 7, for a 61-year-old male with a recent tracheotomy having a hard time breathing. Attention EMS, attention EMS. Need to route to 400 West Avenue C, lot number 7, 61-year-old male, recent tracheotomy, hard time breathing. Be the third one back from the street with a white SUV in front. Medic 3 to dispatch. We received. Show us en route. 10-4.
EOC 3311, engine 3, medic 7, difficulty breathing, 1719 3rd Street, EOC 3311, EMS flying 933.
Very straight clear.
May water, Major. Devil. Clear, shoreline, and right back.
Anything else for dispatch? Go ahead. You didn't close out Cedar Pass, 1 patrol.
With the barn mirror in the scout.
Looking at activity searches. It's supposed to be 60. It's totally fine. I'm gonna go check it out.
Your leadership, along with Speaker Johnson, Senator Leader Thune, we had that done on July 4th, which everyone said was impossible. And the great thing about that bill, sir, for the American people, it's for industry, 100% expensing. Build your factory here. You can write it off immediately. But you also insisted on the 4 benefits for working people: no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, auto deductibility for American cars, and that is retroactive. So as a result, in 2026, we are going to see very substantial tax refunds in the first quarter. So the best way to address the affordability crisis is to give Americans more money in their pocket, which is what this bill has done. We're going to see real wage increases. I think next year is going to be a fantastic year. Taxes, deregulation, energy certainty. That's why everyone with your leadership is coming to America. Bond market had its best year since 2020. Everyone said couldn't be done. So we're going to have growth. We've had 2 4% quarters before the Schumer shutdown. We're going to go back to that. So not only are we going to have great growth, but it's going to be low inflationary growth. And stock market obviously is following, but next year is going to be the year for Main Street as all this kicks in. And you came in, immigration, I called it the 3 I's: immigration, interest rates, and inflation, that were killing the American people. Close the border, the promise kept. Interest rates are down, and 10-year bond, again, best year since 2020, and inflation led by energy prices is going to roll next year. I think it's going to be a fantastic year. We can look back, be very proud of this year, but I think 2026 is going to be great for the American people, thanks to you.
It'll be great. Thank you very much. Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's an honor to serve with this great team that you've assembled. And I just want to pick up on something you said, Mr. President, because you hit the nail on the head. That it is absurd that Democrats talk about an affordability crisis that they created and the people around this table work every single day to address. You'll hear a lot of statistics today. You hear a lot of statistics in our political conversation. I think the most important statistic for the American people is that under the Biden administration, the average American family lost over $3,000 of household income. And under the first 10 months of this Trump administration, they have gained over $1,000 of household income. What that says very clearly is that we are fixing the problem that Joe Biden and the Democrats created in the last administration. If you look at every affordability crisis that's confronting the American people today, it is traceable directly to a problem caused by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Why did homes get so unaffordable? Because we had 20 million illegal aliens in this country taking homes that ought by right to go to American citizens. Why did tax bills get so unaffordable? Because Democrats were raising taxes while congressional Republicans under the president's leadership were now cutting taxes. Why did food get so expensive? Because we printed trillions of dollars and threw it into green scams that made our agricultural economy suffer while Americans were paying higher prices for food. On every single one of those issues, Mr. President, I think we've made incredible progress, but it would be preposterous to fix every problem caused over the last 4 years in just 10 months. I think that we've done incredibly good, but what I see over the next year, and you heard Brooke talk about joy and gratitude, what I really think this season represents for me, and I think for the entire administration, is that we have now done incredible work to fix what Joe Biden broke. And I think next year in American growth and American prosperity could be the best year that we've had in the United States of America. It's going to happen because we're all working hard. It's going to happen because we have the greatest country in the world. But I think for congressional Democrats in particular, if they want to talk about affordability, they ought to look in the mirror. We are fixing what they're broken. We're proud to do it. It's the job that we were elected to do. But I think 2026 is going to be the year where this
commercial alarm, 5950 14 plan, call for engine 6, commercial alarm.
President Trump talking about Sarah, heartbreaks for her family, and Andy is doing well. His parents, Melody and Jason, wanted me to tell you, and I was with them yesterday in the hospital. He's a miracle. I was there when the surgeons came in, and they wanted you to know this. He's a miracle, and if everyone in this country can continue to pray for that family. He's got a long road ahead of him, but he is a miracle. And of course, our DC initiative is led by our amazing, and the monster will be held accountable who did this. Our marshals, of course, are leading the DC safe effort. We have made over 7,000 arrests at your direction. DC is safe. Working with everyone around this table. Pete and everyone. Scott and I were in Memphis together last week, and everyone, and Bobby, your HHS doctors and medics are on the ground to help people in Memphis and DC. In Memphis, we've made over 3,500 arrests so far, and Homeland Security, Christi, you've been instrumental in this. But it's everyone working together as a team. We even have Treasury agents out there. It's unbelievable on the ground in DC and Memphis. Of course, law enforcement first, FBI, Kash Patel has led the FBI. We have a 100% increase in the arrest of violent criminals, thanks to your leadership. DEA, led by Terry Cole. Over 45 million fentanyl pills, 4,200 kilos fentanyl powder. That is the equivalent of 347 million potential lethal doses. That's unbelievable that you've taken off the streets of our country. And the weight of all the drugs combined taken off by DEA is the weight of 17 full semi-trucks of the drugs just since you've been in office. The drugs that had flowed into this country under the previous administration. ATF, led by Rob Sakata, has seized more than 31,000 illegal guns. 31,000. Unbelievable at your leadership. 19,000 of those were from trafficking cases. We've been sued on the legal front now. We have been sued 575 times. 575 times. More than every administration going back to Reagan combined. Most recently, yesterday, I was sued by an immigration judge who we fired. One of the reasons, she said she was a woman. Last I checked, I was a woman. 24 Supreme Court wins, President Trump. 92% success rate. We told you it would take a while to get to the Supreme Court. We're doing it at record speed, led by John Sauer, of course, Sarah and Hosh, all working together. Immigration, we're winning. Nationwide injunctions, ending DEI funding, working to secure that our federal workforce is aligned with your America First agenda, representing pretty much everyone in this room. We met with your general counsel yesterday, Doug, working with everyone. It's nonstop. ICE, of course, we're winning there with Christi. We're Brooke, SNAP benefits, won there. Marco, USAID. Pete, National Guard, of course, going nonstop. Our U.S. attorneys are fighting violent crime, working around the clock to make America safe again, which was your directive. Our Civil Rights Division, suing Gavin Newsom 3 times now, Prop 50, keeping boys out of girls' sports, and in-state tuition for illegal aliens. We've sued over election integrity. We are litigating major universities with Linda. Thank you, our Civil Rights Division, for everything that you've done to end DEI in our schools. Our Civil Division fighting sanctuary cities every single day. And of course, our Antitrust Division with Google, major settlement. Our attorneys are working on terrorism, TDA, MS-13, Antifa, President Trump. We've charged more than 500 defendants with assault on federal officers thanks to your directive. And also, we have dropped countless cases against Americans that were prosecuted under the Biden administration, including J6, COVID, FACE Act, and more. And as everyone knows, we cannot talk about pending grand jury investigations, but no one is above the law, and that includes what happened in Arctic frost. I hope everyone has a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Holidays. Thank you for fighting for our country.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, Laura.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for allowing me to be at this table. When I came on board, I knew really none of you in this last year, and it's been a year, Mr. President, since I've had the pleasure to serve this country on the workforce. Everybody said the Department of Labor would be quiet, fly under the radar, you won't have to do too much. Absolutely not, because you made the American people realize the American dream is real for the American workforce. And it's been under your leadership, over 2 million jobs has been created since you started, have been native-born workers. And that is the difference between this presidency, this administration, as opposed to the Biden administration, or federal government jobs. And I think through the private sector, over 2 million jobs of native-born. And so the Labor Department has wasted no time in putting that into action with our Make America Skilled Again, either grant dollars, but the intentionality of the apprenticeship program, 1 million active apprentices across this country. We have done over 250,000 new apprentices so far in the first year and registered over 2,000 new apprenticeship programs. Why do we need the apprenticeship programs with the men and women in the trades? Because of the leadership of onshoring and reshoring, and have a lot of these companies reinvest in America. We have to build this country. We cannot do that without the tradesmen and women and the craftsmen of this country. And I think that, Howard and I, we talked about that from the beginning, and we're going to have to lean in on that because we need the labor force, 700,000 new skilled jobs with electricians, construction workers, machinists, and so forth. And as I traveled with the vice president as well, we see that on the manufacturing floors of this country, they're in desperate need. The Department of Labor are going to get the workforce skilled again. Working with Secretary McMahon as we move a lot of the education out to our respective states, we are now working together, and we have deployed $86 million in investments, and a lot of that is in AI infrastructure jobs to have our new workforce proficient and literate in AI if we're going to continue to lead the AI race, and we're working on that. And the Department of Labor is now creating and will soon launch the AI infrastructure and workforce hub, which we will be able to track that metrics to see exactly where the dollars are going correctly. Integrating education and workforce with a lot together about Main Street, as well as a lot of the manufacturing jobs, and how we're being an ally to our businesses as opposed to an adversary. For far too long under the Biden administration, we were adversaries to our business owners, and we want to give them a leg up always and make sure that we're paying attention. And we want our workforce to be educated. We do not need the numbers that we have seen across this country where our 4th through 8th graders cannot read, write, or do any math, and they are our future workforce. We have to depend on the American worker first. Also, lowering healthcare costs in line with the executive order. I'm working with Treasury and HHS, and rulemaking is underway to expand healthcare transparency and make pricing more affordable for our employers who offer these to their employees. Promoting retirement security. The department rescinded the Biden administration's guidance that restricted the use of crypto in the retirement investments, and we're seeing more and more of that, where we also rescinded the supplemental statement that discouraged the fiduciaries from considering the alternative assets for 401ks, and that will also come through the Department of Labor, that rulemaking. Ending abuse of cheap foreign labor at the expense of the American worker. We launched over 200 investigations into companies who will have abused and or fraudulently against the American worker. So Project Firewall was released. Thank you, Mr. President. We want the trained workforce, but we will root out the fraud and abuse, and we'll protect the American worker first. and slashing the job-killing regulations. The department has rescinded discriminatory DEI practices, and I will tell you, reducing compliance costs for businesses, as it was for DEI, has saved American businesses nearly $1 billion this year by just getting rid of DEI for that compliance cost that they've had to do. So, Mr. President, continuing to skill the American worker, the American workforce is going to be my mission. We have to do it faster. We have to do it quicker. We have to build so that the American people can realize that American dream that you have laid out so eloquently. And it's an honor to serve under this administration and to talk to the American workers who believe in the American dream again, the pride on their face, the pride of the American worker, the skilled men and women who build with their hands. It's an honor. Thank you, and Merry Christmas.
Very good job. Thank you very much. Chris?
Mr. President, I am honored and frankly inspired to sit at this table with this incredible team of leaders that work every day for one and only one constituency, the American people. Not this group or that group, the American people. The price of energy that's very much on the mind of Americans. The biggest determinant of the price of energy is politicians, political leaders, and policies. That's what drives energy prices. Under your leadership, what we've seen in the United States is just a steady drop in the price of gasoline, a huge consumer cost for Americans. As you mentioned early on, well below $3 a gallon right now and trending downwards. There are a number of stations in the heartland of America with $1.99 signs flying today. That's simply impossible without the leadership and changes you've brought. Now, of course, you can go to California, where the average price of gasoline is between $4.50 and $5 a gallon today in California. That's just bad political leaders there and bad policies in California.
And taxes.
And taxes.
Taxes they charge on gasoline are just insane. Terrible.
And electricity prices is a very parallel story, but it's a bigger moving ship, so the changes are a little bit slower. But Americans are outraged at roughly 30% rise in the average price of electricity across this country. But everything we are doing together is going to reverse that. Not just stop the rises, but start the downward trajectory in electricity prices. I can say that with confidence. Not that these policies will work. We know these policies will work, and I'll get to that in a second. We're going to stop closing power plants. We've already done that, of course. Stop closing the coal power plants and natural gas plants that were shut down. We've got over 30 gigawatts of generators just sitting there today, not allowed to run. Well, of course, we're fixing that immediately. We're going to bring on from our existing grid tens of gigawatts more capacity that'll drive down the cost of electricity. But if we look at the last 5 years to see what works and what doesn't work, the most Trump-aligned policies in the electricity sector were by, no surprise, one of your cabinet members, Secretary Burgum, for 8 years governor of North Dakota. Over the last 5 years, production and demand for electricity in North Dakota grew 35%. Think what data center boom's going to do. And what happened? Electricity prices went down. Didn't rise slowly. They actually went down those 5 years. That's the answer. Trump-aligned energy policies increased demand for electricity. Nebraska and Texas, more Trump-aligned states, had significant growth in demand for electricity. They had electricity price rises, but well below the price of inflation. Unfortunately, Biden brought all of us a lot of inflation. If you look at the other end of the spectrum, California, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Maryland, I could go on. What happened in those states? Policies, politicians that force the building of unreliable electricity generation, which requires new infrastructure and transmission lines. And what happened? Today they produce less electricity than they did 5 years ago. A lot of spending money and less electricity. What does that mean? Of course, much faster rises in the price of electricity. Blue states have had 1.5 times faster rise in electricity prices than red states. Red states alone, less than inflation. We need to bring those policies. You are bringing those policies to the national level. We hope the blue states will come along with us, but your policies are going to start the decline of electricity prices nationwide under your leadership by just bringing back common sense. So thank you for allowing me to be part of this team. for people here who are focused on winning. Special thanks to Howard and Scotty, who were there with me to see the Denver Broncos win on Monday night. Now we want nationwide wins on energy for 3 more years.
And we're doing more energy production than we've ever
Okay.
done by far.
TSA is going to be
Records across the board that'll continue to be reset every year you're in office.
Thank you very much.
Well, Mr. President, thank you for giving me a very interesting job. Some days it's a little controversial too, but it's been an honor to work for you. You are a great American. The fights that you pick are the right fights, and they're always on behalf of this country. So I appreciate the chance to do this job heading up this department. If you think about what Joe Biden did with the Department of Homeland Security, he used this department to invade the country with terrorists. He opened up the borders, let anybody come in that wanted to. He put them on airplanes. He let them through our airports. If they could figure out a way to get to our shores and in our country, he just opened the door and invited them in. So it's our job to get them out. And I want to thank you for this team, because I look around the table and I think every single person here has helped me do my job over the last year. They've supported us at the border and given us resources. Marco negotiates all the travel documents and relationships with other countries to take their people home. 2 million people have gone home already. The people that were here illegally, you've removed from our country and sent home. And we're going to send more home for the holidays too, and make sure that they get to be with their families in their countries. Yes.
Mostly the bad ones.
That's right. Pam.
Focus is the bad ones.
That's right.
And there are a lot of them.
Terrible, horrible people. And Pam, make sure she's fighting for us in court so that we can get up every day and be bold. We're going to hire our 10,000th ICE officer. Will be on the job within 10 days. So we have hired 10,000. We've had hundreds of thousands of applications. We've got within the department. TSA went through this government shutdown without any delays. They all showed up for their shifts and worked hard doing security. And they have been absolutely fantastic. Sir, you made it through hurricane season without a hurricane. Yeah. And so FEMA, you kept the hurricanes away. So we appreciate that. And FEMA is deploying resources and dollars 150% faster than ever before. So somebody does have something bad that happens to them, you are immediately there helping them and telling them they have the resources to get back up on their feet. So we have built and deployed hundreds of miles of border already. You have cut the fentanyl flow over the southern border by over 56%. You've saved hundreds of millions of lives with the cocaine you've blown up in the Caribbean. And, you told me to look into Minnesota and their fraud on visas and their programs. 50% of them are fraudulent, which means that wacko Governor Walz either is an idiot or he did it on purpose. And I think he's both, sir. He brought people in there illegally that never should have been in this country, said they were somebody that they're not. They said they were married to somebody who was their brother or somebody else. Fraudulent visa applications, signed up for government programs, took hundreds of billions of dollars from the taxpayers.
The government is banning this $39 electric lighter next month, and this is your last shot to get the original.
So tonight at about 11 p.m., officers and EMS were both dispatched to 4600 Ocean Drive to these apartments for an unknown EMS call. Now, as they contacted subject in one of the apartments, the suspect began firing rounds out the front door of his apartment. And after firing rounds out the front door of his apartment, he went into the breezeway and fired additional rounds in each direction in the hallway. One of my officers was shot in the leg. He's currently at a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. One other officer returned fire. Only one other officer struck the suspect in the leg, and he is also in the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. So thank God nobody's going to die tonight. But I can't tell you how many rounds total were fired. I can't tell you caliber weapons for suspect or anything like that. I can tell you that as this protocol officer involved, both officers involved in the shooting will be on admin leave until they're rehabbed and we go through this investigation thoroughly. Suspect will remain in our custody. And of course, that'll follow its natural course through the criminal justice system. Okay? I appreciate y'all being out here.
We are growing small businesses across Main Street, and we're deregulating to the tune of $100 billion, working with all my fellow cabinet members. And thank you for putting together the best cabinet in history. Iron sharpens iron, and thank you for bringing such a strong leadership group together. And then finally, I've walked factory floors from Alaska to Maine.
That was a long news conference we had before, wasn't it?
The small businesses,
but it was a good one.
Manufacturers in this country are small businesses, 600,000 of them. They are so grateful to your fair trade, low inflation, deregulation agenda that is creating national
Well, thank you very much, and we're thrilled to be joined by
like
one of the most successful
So I want to also
business leaders and people anywhere in the country, whether it's technology, no matter what business you're talking about, there's really nobody quite like him. He's chairman and CEO of Dell Technologies, make great everything, great computers, great everything. Michael Dell, very much of a legend, is here with us.
Mr. President, for your leadership.
Really exciting announcement. It's so amazing. And makes, much more importantly,
to help support
he's here with his wonderful wife, Susan. And they have a special relationship.
You came in with a very clear mandate of taking on using their powers they have against you, your family, and so many of the American people. Bring out accountability truly for those who have abused their power, making sure that the intelligence community is supporting your efforts in keeping
very much involved in this incredible thing that we're doing today, along with the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, Chairman of the Senate Committee on Commerce and Science and Transportation, House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith, Vice Chairman of the House Republican
First of all, under
Conference,
your leadership, again,
Blake
we've
Moore,
taken on
as well
a
as the
historic
Chief
effort
Design Officer of
for
the United
transparency,
States,
declassification, and exposing these
co-founder.
abuses of power by these deep state actors. We've declassified over 500,000 documents, many of which had never been seen.
He was fired
before
just
by
3
the
weeks
American
before he
people,
was set to
put them
retire.
online
And
to
now
bring
he's
about
becoming
this
an
level
industry
of
whistleblower.
transparency.
Kate Jennings
We
has the
formed a
story.
weaponization working group
So tonight at about 11
to go after a lot of these abuses of power that have never seen the light of day, to support the accountability that under Pam Bondi's leadership in the Department of Justice is coming about. Secondly, bringing about reform to the intelligence community to make sure that we have the most effective, efficient, and focused workforce that's really working on.
You hear it? That was the scene yesterday. Mike Markle, once again named Corpus Christi Chief of Police. A confirmation vote took place Tuesday, then Markle officially sworn in. The chief retired from the force in May.
I was so
we have
blessed
threats coming from both
that door was still
ideology
open.
as well as Islamist
thank you so much. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thank you to my family. Thank you, Judge. And thank all of you.
Across our borders, under the previous
hopefully this won't happen again anytime soon.
David Blackman, who was serving as interim police chief, has returned to his old post as assistant police
to be able
chief.
to conduct this service. Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Say it loud and clear.
Chris 6 News at noon.
Welcome to NTD Evening News. Our top story tonight, top military officials face lawmakers and defend their actions against cartels in the southern Caribbean Sea.
I noticed something. I follow you guys' Twitter account pretty closely because you got some good information on there. I noticed a tweet just a bit ago that you got some folks over at the Island University, and the tweet was, if you've ever thought about being one of us, come talk to us. Reminded me that you had a graduation here recently, didn't you?
We did, about a week ago. It was a good graduation. 23 officers
and grow the economy.
Were pinned
on the environmental front.
Very good class. Very exciting.
And this was like, I think, the 77th, if I remember right,
77th
Police Academy.
Environmental accomplishment.
Now, for folks who don't understand, when they come out of this, they're officers. I mean, there's not like, now we're going to make you wait for 6 months. They're there, aren't they?
That's correct. They went through the academy. They were cadets. They're pinned. They were sworn in as police officers. And then they start their field training portion.
Now, also another thing that I know that you probably are proud of, because I know your department's been pushing for this. There were, I think, 6 women in this class here, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
We've had a large number in every academy for the last 4 or 5 years.
completely did
Done a
all of the
terrific job
work
in
needed
recruiting
to
and
allow these
holding those women in policing
residents and
seminars
businesses to be able to
and
rebuild
crossing those
core
bridges.
leadership.
It's really, really good.
At the local and
It must
state
be,
level.
and again,
Unfortunately,
there are a
still
lot of folks
resulting
who
in
I
these
know
property owners
don't get to that
unable
point where they can
rebuild
go
this
through
wrong.
the academy, and you
We
just
also
encourage them
were
able to reach
try
an
again.
agreement
Keep
with
trying.
Jackson,
Keep talking to us, right?
To be able to implement a plan
go to the city website.
permanently
You
end
can search
a
how to become a
decades-old
police officer.
raw
Send you your,
sewage crisis on the
initial
southern border
application
with
and
Mexico.
go from there.
And
it works too. I mean, you're a guy who came up through the ranks.
I did.
You started, right?
I did.
Regulatory
44th Academy.
44th. Okay, so it's been a while.
About 30 years.
Massive blitz that amounts to the largest deregulatory effort by any agency.
Let me ask you this
in
here,
the history
because
of the United
March is
States,
upon
to put
us,
some perspective
Friday,
on
March
it.
1st.
In 1
spring
year,
break. March
at
always
one
brings a big
agency,
spring break presence
we will
here.
do more deregulation.
How's that been working
than
for you guys? You do anything different this year?
presidencies have done
No,
across all
operationally
agencies.
we're pretty sound. You know, it's mechanical at this
It's
point. So
incredible.
expect
You
to
could
see
go back
extra
across,
traffic enforcement out there.
4-year terms, 8-year
partnerships
terms.
with
You've never
DPS.
seen this much
Substation
deregulation.
at the
One
bank,
agency,
corner
1 year.
361 and 22.
In fact, when
we'll have a
finalized,
command center set up
the
there.
proposed rescission
And
of the
we'll be on
2009
beach,
Obama
working extra
EPA
hours.
endangerment finding amounts
So,
to the largest
a lot of traffic
deregulatory
enforcement. We want to
action
make sure folks that
in
live
the
on the
history
island
of the
can come
United
and
States of
go.
America.
Try to be
From
as least
fixing the
impactful to them as
agency's definition
possible.
of waters
Make sure
of the United
we're
States, which is
chasing our drunk
important for our
drivers,
farmers, our
keeping
ranchers,
folks safe on the
and
beach.
other
So-
landowners.
And we talk, you know, a lot of times the focus is on a lot of students for spring break, but families come here too. And you guys do a good job of making it safe.
Eliminating regulations designed to eliminate entire sectors of our energy economy.
A lot of families stay here. We want to make sure everybody
we have
enjoys
reduced
themselves.
terrible
We understand that
derailments
students
on
get here however
diesel
they can,
exhaust
and we want them to
fluid
come to Corpus
systems.
Christi.
We're
and
getting
enjoy
water
themselves.
moving
But we want
faster,
them to
new
be safe.
pipelines and
be
power
safe, have a
plants
great time.
built,
There's some
and we're helping
information,
to
folks. The
unleash
Twitter
energy
account I
dominance.
mentioned, also their website. Go
Mr.
there,
President,
check
on the
it out.
operational front,
Lot
we
of
have
good
significantly
information
reduced
on
the
there.
size
Chief,
of the
thanks
agency
again.
we're
Thank you.
Always glad
We're
you're here.
accomplishing more
All right, stick
with
around
less.
because when we come back,
It's all about
we do have another
priorities,
look.
and our focus is on fulfilling our statutory obligations.
Final destination
helping
is
to
the
fast-track
franchise that
project
terrified
approvals that were taking way too long, and closely following the law, as well as key Supreme Court decisions like Leopard to overturn the Chevron doctrine. We inherited massive backlogs that we have been eliminating all year long. We've been implementing your executive order to end COVID-era remote work. We consolidated real estate, canceled expensive media subscriptions, and closed the Biden EPA museum that none of you knew even existed. I'm sure none of you actually visited. To put it another way, in 2024, the Biden EPA obligated and spent over $60 billion in 1 year, an agency with an operational budget of about $10 billion a year. In their own words, caught on camera, they were tossing gold bars off the Titanic, wasting precious tax dollars to pay off well-connected Obama and Biden.
Hey, we're back, and I am always grateful to be joined by Corpus Christi Police Chief Mike Markle. And I noticed something. I follow you guys' Twitter accounts pretty closely because you got some good information on there. I noticed a tweet just a bit ago that you've got some folks over at the Island University, and the tweet was, if you've ever thought about being one of us, come talk to us. Reminded me that you had a graduation here recently, didn't you?
We did, about a week ago. It was a good graduation,
we have saved
23 officers.
$30 billion. They spent over $60 billion.
Very good class, very exciting.
We have
and this was like, I think, the 77th, if I remember right.
By the way,
police academy. Now, for folks who don't understand, when they come out of this, they're officers. I mean, there's not like, now we're going to make you wait for 6 months. They're there, aren't they?
That's correct. They went through the academy.
We will fight with just one constituency.
They are sworn in as police officers, and they start their field training.
And that is the American people.
Now, also another thing that I know that you probably are proud of, because I know your department's been pushing for this. There were, I think, 6 women.
And if you'd ask me what I'm grateful for,
that's correct.
whether it's a Thanksgiving,
a large
it's
number
a Christmas,
in every academy for the
New
last 4 or 5 years.
Anytime
done a terrific job in recruiting.
The fact that this president, after 4 years serving in office, he could have just
crossing those bridges. It's
left it in the rearview mirror and went on to really enjoy retirement.
There are a lot of folks who I know
willing to take a
don't get to that point where they can go through the academy, and you just encourage them to try again.
Keep trying.
Keep talking to us, right?
Keep talking, keep applying.
I'm grateful
go to the city website.
Mr. President,
you can search how to become a police officer. They'll send you your initial application and go from there.
And it works too. I mean, you're a guy who came up through the ranks.
I did.
You started, right?
I did. I went to the 44th Academy.
44th. Okay, so that's been a while.
About 30 years ago. 30 years ago.
According to a release from the city, Mike Markle.
Let me ask you this here, because March is upon us, Friday, March 1st. Spring break. March always brings a big spring break presence here. year.
That's correct.
How's that been working for you guys? You doing anything different this year?
No, operationally we're pretty sound. You know, it's mechanical at this point. So expect to see extra traffic enforcement out there, partnerships with DPS, substation at the bank corner, 361 and 22. We'll have the command center set up there. So we'll be on the beach working extra hours. So a lot of traffic enforcement. We want to make sure folks that live on the island can come and go. Try to be as least impactful to them as possible. Make sure we're chasing our drunk drivers and keeping folks safe on the beach. So,
yeah, and we talk, you know, a lot of times the focus is on a lot of students for spring break, but families come here too. And you guys do a good job of making it safe for them.
That's correct. A large portion of the beach now is family. You'll see the younger folks heading to Port A.
Yeah.
And a lot of the families stay here. We want to make sure everybody enjoys themselves. We understand that students get here however they can, and we want them to come to Corpus Christi and enjoy themselves. But we want them to be safe.
Yeah, be safe, have a great time. There's some information, folks. The Twitter account I mentioned, also their website. Go there, check it out. A lot of good information on there. Chief, thanks again.
Thank you. I appreciate
Always glad you're here. All right, stick around because when we come back, we do have another look at the forecast.
Christi, without the ones like you working tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. No matter your industry, Granger's here for you.
State level, letting states put their programs in place, and some states are going to do it a lot better than others.
Chief of Police will be placed on next Tuesday's City Council agenda. The city's release says Markle's first day on the job is going to be that same Tuesday. So what happened to that nationwide surge, and will Chief Mike Markle receive both his pension and his pay as chief? Was there any input from other city council members? Our Hammy goes in depth to get you some answers.
The questions following the announcement of former Chief Mike Markle returning to work. I was able to catch up with the mayor and city manager to get some of these things cleared up.
Couldn't be happier. I'm so excited. He's done such a wonderful job for our police department, and he will be able to continue to, and that makes our city 100% whole.
Both Mayor Guajardo and City Manager Peter Zanoni say the reaction to Markle's return has been all positive. Neither of them have heard any opposition to the rehire.
It's been overwhelmingly positive, and I told them that last night. There's been a lot of expressed love and gratitude across all aspects of the community, and so we know that he's made the right decision in coming back, and we know he'll serve the city well again in this capacity.
I think everyone is just, they're elated that he is coming back and coming home, as I like to say.
Guajardo says there were around 30 applicants and a process in place to decide the new chief. She says the city was forming multiple committees to find the right person, but since Markle approached Zanoni about returning, that process never took shape.
No money was spent on forming the committees. There would be internal staff. We were going to have some police officer frontline individuals, and then community panels as well. And so all that won't be necessary now that Chief Markle has expressed an interest in coming back.
There were questions about Markle receiving his pension while returning to work. According to the Texas Municipal Retirement System, his payments will be suspended until he re-retires. Zanoni says the city will start contributing again should his appointment be confirmed on July 27th.
We're a regional leader when it comes to public safety in the coastal Bend region, and so we knew it would be a tough transition to go from that to working for private industry. So as time progressed, he finally said, you know what, I want to come back.
It will take a majority vote from City Council for the rehire of Markle, and he would start immediately. Reporting in Corpus Christi, Ron Hammy, Chris 6 News.
And as we mentioned earlier, Chief Mike Markle had served as Corpus Christi's Chief of Police since January of 2016. You know, he became chief in the wake of a tragedy that rocked the city and the police department. On May 3rd of 2015, then Police Chief Floyd Simpson was killed in a traffic accident. The following day, Assistant Chief Mike Markle was named interim chief. The city began a search for his replacement, and 7 months later, on December 15th, the city released a list of 6 finalists for the position, and Mike Markle's name was on that list of finalists. 1 month later, he was sworn in as Chief of Police.
Operating at the Department of Education. It was only half the workforce when we started.
The Corpus Christi City Council honored the city's
president has now begun to speak on this announcement when it comes to the Golden Dome, and perhaps as well when it comes to Afghanistan. Let's listen in.
Thank you. I also want to recognize
and other members of the City Council presented Chief Mike Markle with a proclamation thanking him for his 30 years of service to the city. Chief Markle's last day as chief will be this coming Sunday. He served as chief since January of 2016. Chief Markle said he was blessed with having an exceptional mayor, city council, and staff.
I'm not running away from anything. So my leaving is not a departure of some negative thing. It's just a natural step in life progression. I have nothing to say, but thank you.
Cartel was telling women. Chief Markle says he plans to stay here in Corpus Christi as he begins his retirement. And as we told you, Assistant Chief David Blackman will serve as interim police chief. He's one up Markle just by 1 year. He's been with the Corpus Christi Police Department for 32 years.
Cardiac disease by 50%, Alzheimer's by 35%, bone fractures by 50 to 60%. It improves appetite, it improves sleep, it improves energy, it improves happiness. We are now, there are tens of millions of women in this country have been deprived of that because of
Welcome back. I'm always happy to be joined by Corpus Christi Police Chief Mike Markle, who takes time out of his schedule to come be with us once a month. I want to ask you about something because recently Margie Rose retired, or resigned rather, as the city manager here in Corpus Christi. Heath Selman has been appointed to temporarily fill that role, and he has turned to you for a little help. Now, I want to make sure I get this right. You are now going to be overseeing the Parks and Recreation Department, Health Department, Marina Department, City Libraries, and the city's Public Safety Departments, in addition to being the police chief here. Are you moving to City Hall, or what are we doing?
Nobody's moving to City Hall. Okay. I'm the police chief. I'm going to be the interface. Remember that city manager can't have everybody directly reporting to him, so, or her. So they need a buffer, they need a gatekeeper, somebody, and this is just a little management duty for a short time. So we're fine. I'm the police chief. Love my job. I love being the chief in this community.
Well, the reason I ask is because there were some questions when we mentioned this, I think, on the air yesterday. Somebody said, uh-oh, he's looking to get into that side of government. That's not the case for you, is it?
No, I was asked. And, this is like any other event or something we go through as a city. Roll up our sleeves and we work a little harder when we're asked to do something.
Is it normal in a city our size for the chief of police to take on roles like that, you think?
I don't know if it's normal. I don't think it's unheard of. Other department heads sometimes accept other roles or additional duties when things happen. Again, this will be for a short duration.
And he said there's no contest. It's to change to get rid of.
Let's talk about how it's kind of set up, because if I understood from what you were saying earlier, there are still people managing those departments. This is not you coming in and taking over the departments.
You have strong directors, strong managers with many years of experience. They'll just, rather than everybody direct reporting to Keith Selman, who has a broader perspective now, he has to take care of the city. So they'll have me as an interface. And that's fine.
And you don't mind doing that because, again, this doesn't take you away from what you love doing and what you were hired to do.
Not going to take me away, so I'm going to diminish my capacity. I'll be fine. We will be fine.
Yeah, and I appreciate you clarifying that for our viewers.
I appreciate you asking.
All right, hey, we've got a screen I'm going to put up there. If you want more information on what's happening with the police department, follow them on Twitter, or go to that website, cctexas.com/police. You'll get some good information. Thanks again, Chief. We appreciate it. Stick around. We're going to be right back with a look ahead to what you will see tonight here on Chris 6.
You asked us to change that. We convened the 60 biggest tech companies at a conference that you presided over about 2 months ago. We now did a secondary conference which 400 leading companies have all come in and agreed to remove any kind of blockages where individual Americans can get their own health care. Americans own their health care records, yet they were not able to access them. And if you lived in New Jersey and you moved to Oregon and you got injured, you went to a hospital, you would have to spend maybe 45 minutes filling out forms on a clipboard because your doctors there could not get your healthcare records. They couldn't get your blood type, your allergies, all the things that they ought to know immediately so they can save your life. Now that has all changed, and all these companies now have agreed to remove all the blocks on sharing healthcare records. Every American will have their healthcare records available on their cell phones, and it's already happening. In the last 6 months, there have been over 100 times the number of healthcare records shared by hospitals and during the entire previous administration. On deregulation, HHS proudly is now leading the pack, and thank you for your help on that, Russ. But today we announced the revocation of the nursing home rule, which was overburdening rural areas across this country, Indian reservations, with regulations that were going to destroy the nursing home industry in those communities. And that is going to be a $25 billion savings. Those are some of the things that we're doing because of your leadership. President Trump, thank you so much, and Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, Bob, very much. Great job.
Well, Mr. President, you've assembled an incredibly talented group here. If you took a look at this group compared to any Fortune 500 leadership team, any group of startup folks, I mean, this is an amazing group in the breadth of what's being accomplished. And the timing couldn't be better because with your leadership and vision, you've set us up for this age of abundance as we head into next year, the 250th anniversary of this country. And what are we heading into that year? As we've talked around the table, you've heard about massively lower taxes, massively lower regulation, abundant energy, record capital investment coming in, job growth. I mean, we are set up to really have something to celebrate next year. And I just, again, want to say thank you to everybody around the table. You gave us one big assignment in Interior. Of course, Interior, the largest balance sheet in the world. In the Department of Interior, if it was a standalone company, 500 million acres of surface, 700 million acres of subsurface, over 3 billion of offshore from Guam to the Virgin Islands. And you said, we got to take care of that balance sheet. We got to develop those resources. And what have we done across that? Producing record amounts of oil, record amounts of gas. And again, we set out with a goal, energy diplomacy, sell energy to our friends and allies. We're exporting a record amount of energy to all of our friends and allies around the world. That's helping do that. And you're giving a gift to America as we head into this. You're giving us peace abroad, and you're giving us prosperity at home. That bodes so well for our country. One small little gift that we're giving to all Americans from one teeny part of Interior, which is the national parks, is that not only are we keeping prices low for all American citizens, but offering 10 free days for our national parks each year to coincide with holidays, but also a $100 surcharge for non-residents. And that is going to raise hundreds of millions of dollars for helping restore and preserve all of our best parks. So as we close out with it, I want to also say a big celebration going on here in Washington, D.C. We've been thrilled to be part of the National Park Service, the U.S. Park Police, part of this great effort across a number of us on making D.C. safe and beautiful. This will be the safest and most beautiful capital in the world. We are doing so many things, whether it's hundreds of homeless camps, thousands of graffiti sites, cleaning up ponds and fountains, preparing this thing. The United States is never going to be performing better economically. It's never going to be looking better, just like the White House has never looked better, all because of your vision and leadership. So again, thank you, sir. You've given an incredible Christmas gift to Americans by setting us up for an incredible 250th anniversary.
That's very nice. Thank you, Doug, very much. Rocco?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. First of all, this is a very talented team, as you've seen, and as you know, because you picked every single one that's on. You deserve tremendous credit for it. It's an honor to be in this role. It's also an honor to be involved in, to be a witness to what I believe is the most transformational year in American foreign policy since the end of the Second World War, at least. And it's transformational because for the first time in a long time, we have a president who basically puts America at the forefront of every decision we make in our relations with the world. And that may sound weird to people, like, of course you always do. No, that hasn't always been the case until about a year ago. And I think we've all witnessed in our own respective spaces how in every interaction the president has with the world, the goal he has in mind is very simple. Does what you want us to do, or is it what we're going to, or is it going to make us stronger? Is it going to make us richer? Is it going to make us safer? If it is, he's for it. If it's not, he's against it. If something's going to make America weaker or poorer or less safe, the president's going to be against it. And every single thing he has done in our foreign policy has been driven by the American people in mind. And I can go down the list. Why has he focused on mass migration? It's very simple, because no country is safe if you can just walk in without us knowing who you are into your country. We've seen the destruction that that's wreaking, not just in our own country, but the impact that it's having in Europe and in many other parts of the world. You talk about trade deals and the trade situation has been involved in. People, all this reporting on it, it's very simple. The president views the last 40 years as an era of which American workers and American farmers have been ripped off. They've been ripped off, and what he's saying is we want to have trade with the world, but it has to be a trade in which American businesses and American workers and the products they make and what American farmers grow and produce has a fair shot to be sold around the world. On issue after issue, that's been the case. You talk about foreign aid reforms. This is not our money. This is taxpayer money. When the president has said is we're going to do foreign aid, but we're going to do foreign aid for countries that are aligned with the United States and in a way that doesn't waste the taxpayers' money. Mr. President, you deserve tremendous credit for that. Many of us, the Vice President, by the way, I want to acknowledge, has played an extraordinary role in our foreign policy, and he too has been a witness to all of this. He's been a big part of it as well. You talk about NATO. The President's not against NATO. He went to NATO and basically said, look, you guys, we're paying all the money, and he got them to do the 5% commitment, which everybody said was never going to happen. It was impossible. Everything this president does is driven by the American people. Whether you don't have to agree with the actual move, but understand the motivation. The motivation is always you, the American people, and what's good for you, for your family, for the country, and for our economy. But the president is also committed to peace in a way that all of us have seen. He achieved in Gaza, and he does it, by the way, not just because he hates war and he thinks wars are a waste of money and lives, but because he's the only leader in the world that can. No other leader in the world could have pulled off what happened in Gaza. And I can tell you, I can't get into the details. The Vice President knows what I'm talking about. That deal doesn't happen without the President's direct interaction with the leaders that were involved in this decision making. And everyone said that deal couldn't hold. And then the President shepherded through the United Nations of all places to get a global coalition of countries to line up behind the peace deal, behind the border peace. And it's still, every day is a challenge, but it's been driven personally by the president. It's the reason why we're involved in this whole Ukraine.
Officers of EMS were both dispatched to 4600 Ocean Drive to these apartments.
It never would have happened if you
for an unknown EMS call.
But this war is going on, and
now, as they contacted
not because
subject in one of the
to
apartments,
focus on in the world as a country. But he's the only
suspect
leader in the world that can
began
help
firing rounds
out
the front door of his apartment. And after firing rounds out the front door of his apartment, he went into the breezeway and fired additional rounds in each direction in the hallway. One of my officers was shot in the leg. He's currently at a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. One other officer returned fire. Only one other officer struck the suspect in the leg. He is also in the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
Far away from the United States.
So thank God nobody's going to die tonight.
Not to mention all the other
I can't tell you how many rounds total were fired. I can't tell you caliber of weapon for suspect or anything like that. I can tell you that as is protocol, the officer involved, both officers involved in the shooting will be on admin leave until they're rehabbed. We go through this investigation thoroughly. Suspect will remain in our custody. Of course, they'll follow its natural course through the criminal justice system. Okay? I appreciate you all being here.
I close with
this robotic puppy looks so real, it completely fooled my neighbour who's a veterinarian. I've been a grandmother for 15 years, and this is the smartest purchase I've ever made. Last month, I got
point of personal privilege. And I'm a Florida Gator, but if the University of Miami gets screwed out of the college football playoffs after going 10-2 and beating Notre Dame, the whole thing should be scrapped, and you're going to have to take over it next year.
Well, thank you all very much. It was terrific. I hope it wasn't too long, but it was very concise, and we've done a lot. This group has done a lot. Amazing. Everybody at this table has done a fantastic. And Susie, thank you for doing a great job, as our chief has said. First female chief of staff in the history of our country, which is pretty amazing when you think of it, right? And she's the best. Thank you very much. Great job. So after that, do you want to ask any questions?
Mr. President, there's been a lot of speculation about who the next Fed chairman could possibly be. You said you had somebody in mind. How many names were you given on the final list? And does that person currently work on the board of Fed?
Well, I'd say that we probably looked at 10. Then Scott interviewed some people that I didn't know, but he knew. And a lot of people were involved in the process.
For the center board, May 1.
But I think we probably looked at 10, and we have it down to 1.
I want to ask you about Elon Musk, if I could. You talked about Elon Musk.
ESV-1409, engine 4, Medicaid for fall 2438, manual wing, ESV-1409, EMS-1, 1028.
He really helped during the election with his endorsement. He felt strongly. Look, we had one problem. You know, I didn't want to have everybody have to have an electric car, and he makes electric cars, and yeah, I think we get along well.
You know, on affordability.
13 for fall, 7305, Alberta Circle, ESV-114, Medic 13 for fall, 7305, Alberta Circle, ESV-114, Francis Flats, 1028.
Do you believe getting impatient with the reforms that you're making? They talked about it's about.
I think they're getting fake news from guys like you. Look, affordability is a hoax that was started by Democrats who caused the problem of pricing, and they didn't end it. Look, they lost in a landslide. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote. We won everything. You take a look at districts. It was 2,750 to 525. Because that was an affordability problem. We brought it down. Look at energy. Look at gasoline price. It's like.
Well, currently our Boca and Vowel units, Violence Against Women unit, and they do a lot of outreach already, and they're going to continue to do outreach. Now we're working at other ways to get into the schools through, actually Parks and Recreation has a life skills program where they're touching, hundreds, if not thousands of kids throughout the year. So incorporating that into it through Parks and Stacy over there and that group. That's just an idea that came up today. That's a great idea. So again, any kind of input for programs to reach out, through the clergy, through our businesses, all the stuff that you just heard is a good way to get that message out. And we just need as a society to demonize this behavior. It's not acceptable. And we need to do whatever we can, whatever outreach is that we can do to make sure that everybody knows that this has to change.
Fixed almost everything, if you want to know the truth, including 8 wars. We got 1 to go, but including 8 wars. But when they always say, I watched today where they have a race going on right now in Tennessee, and this woman goes, affordability. They're the ones that caused the problem. The prices were way high. We're bringing the prices down. But they're like scam artists, they're I call them con men and women. They come out, they say affordability, like, oh, I see prices. We're going to get prices down still further. But we brought them down from the prices they cost. The reason that they had the highest inflation in the history of our country is because they had the highest prices. But we brought them down, and now we have normal inflation. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, thank you so much for taking questions.
Thank you.
Assembled
Sure.
Cabinet. I wanted to clarify something that you had said on Sunday regarding the boat strikes near Venezuela. You had said that you didn't know if the second strike on that one boat had happened, but you wouldn't have wanted it. Now that your administration has acknowledged that it happened, do you support that second strike? And Mr. Secretary, I wanted to clarify something you had said in an interview back in September, I believe on Fox News. You said that you would watch that strike live on television. In real time, did you know that there were survivors after the initial strike?
Well, look, all I know is this. Every boat that you see get blown up, we save 25,000 on average lives, 25,000 lives. They've been sending enough of this horrible fentanyl and other things like cocaine and other things, but fentanyl right now is the leader of the pack, to kill our entire nation. Because a little speck on the head of a pin can kill somebody. It's very dangerous stuff. I know so many people where their sons were drug addicts. They had one little sample, and they died. They couldn't believe it. As far as the attack is concerned, I still haven't gotten a lot of information because I rely on Pete. But to me, it was an attack. It wasn't 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes. Somebody asked me a question about the second strike. I didn't know about the second strike. I didn't know anything about people. I wasn't involved in it. I knew they took out a boat. But I would say this, they had a strike. I hear the gentleman that was in charge of that is extraordinary. He's an extraordinary person. I'll let Pete speak about him. But Pete was satisfied. Pete didn't know about second attack having to do with 2 people. I guess Pete would have to speak to it. I can say this, I want those boats taken out. And if we have to, we'll attack on land also, just like we attack on sea. And there's very little coming in by sea. I think we've knocked out over 90% of it. There's very little, and I understand that. There's very little. We're saving hundreds of thousands of lives with those pinpoint attacks. It's an amazing thing when you see a boat going along, and a lot of the press would like to say they're not. You see the boat, they're not maybe drugs. You see these boats. First of all, who has 5 engines on the back of a boat going in weird directions and loaded up with lots of white containers? They're bags of things. No, they've done an amazing job, and Peter's done an amazing job. But Pete, you could probably better answer the question.
No, you're spot on, sir. I think you got to start with the baseline, which Marco laid out, everybody's laid out. You got 20 million people invading our country over 4 years. We don't know where they're coming from. That includes Tren de Aragua and cartels and violent criminals. They bring drugs, and you mentioned it, Mr. President, poisoning, an intentional poisoning of the American people, killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. So the president had the courage to designate these cartels as designated terrorist organizations. Now, a number of us here served in the military and spent 20 years fighting terrorists like Al-Qaeda and ISIS on the other side of the world. How do you treat Al-Qaeda and ISIS? Do you arrest them and treat them, pat them on the head and say, don't do that again? Or do you end the problem directly by taking a lethal, kinetic approach? And that's the way President Trump has authorized the War Department to look at these cartels. And I wish everybody could be in the room watching our professionals like Mitch Bradley, Admiral Mitch Bradley, and others at JSOC and SOCOM and other commanders. The deliberative process, the detail, the rigorous, the intel, the legal, the evidence-based way that we're able to, with sources and methods that we can't reveal here, that make sure that every one of those drug boats is tied to a designated terrorist organization. We know who's on it, what they're doing, what they're carrying. All these white bales are not Christmas gifts from Santa. This is drugs running on 4-motor fast boats or submarines that we've also struck. No one's fishing on a submarine. And I have empowered them to make that call. Now, the first couple of strikes, as any leader would want, you want to own that responsibility. So I said, I'm going to be the one to make the call after getting all the information and make sure it's the right strike. That was September 2nd. There's a lot of intelligence that goes into that, building that case and understanding that. A lot of people providing information. I watched that first strike line. As you can imagine, the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do, and by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat, and eliminated the threat. And it was the right call. We have his back, and the American people are safer because narco-terrorists know you can't bring drugs through the water and eventually on land if necessary to the American people. We will eliminate that threat, and we're proud to do it.
So you didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded in fire or smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes, about the judgment that they made. I wrote a whole book on this topic because of what politicians and the press does to warfighters. President Trump has empowered commanders to do what is necessary, which is dark and difficult things in the dead of night on behalf of the American people. We support them, and we will stop the poisoning of the American people.
And Mr. Secretary, on the second strike, you said it happened more than an hour after the first strike?
I couldn't tell you the exact amount of time.
Minutes, or you had left the room?
My answer quickly.
So remember this, we lost last year, I think it was more than that, but people don't like saying it because they always said 100,000, 115,000, numbers we've been hearing for years. So we lost last year more than 200,000 people, dead people, ruined families beyond the 200,000. And those 200,000, that family will never be the same. But these people have killed over 200,000 people, actually killed over 200,000 people last year. And those numbers are down. Those numbers are down. They're way down. And they're down because we're doing these strikes, and we're going to start doing those strikes on land too. You know, the land is much easier. It's much easier. And we know the routes they take. We know everything about them. We know where they live. We know where the bad ones live. And we're going to start that very soon too.
Mr. President, thank you so much, Mr. President.
And you know what? When we start that, we're going to drag those numbers down so low. And then you're going to have families be able to live with the final cabinet meeting of 2025, a year that will go down as the most consequential and successful first year of any administration. They're saying that, not me. Oh, I say it too, actually, but a lot of people are saying it. And a lot of that is thanks to the men and women in the cabinet. The new and improved cabinet room, I might add. We took pictures down from the vaults. We have vaults downstairs with lots of pictures that haven't been exposed to the world for, in many cases, over 100 years. We brought them up, and we're using them as they should be used. But the cabinet room looks beautiful, like it should now. The Oval Office looks beautiful, like it should. It was not. It was like the rest of the country. It was in disrepair. 1 year ago, our country was dead, and said to me by many leaders, we had a dead country. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. It's true. The hottest country anywhere in the world. Think of that. In 4 long years of the Biden administration, there were just $1 trillion of new investments in the United States in 10 months. We've secured commitments of over $18 trillion. So they had, in 1 year, less than $1 trillion. That's in a period of 4 years. Think of that. 4 years they had less than $1 trillion. In 10 months, we have more than $18 trillion. Is that right, Scott? It's even going to be higher than that.
It'll be higher.
And going up. And we're waiting for the Supreme Court case, and it's so important and so vital for this country because we're not only respected again, we're putting out wars by our trade policies, and we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, and our country is wealthy again and secure again, and it's part of national security, and I hope that goes well. I think it's very important, but when you think of the number, we're going to be over $18 trillion in 10 months, and which is a record times probably 8 or 10 times, I think more than that, for any country. There's never been a country that's had that kind of an investment ever in history. And there's never been a country that's had half of that. It's a tremendous thing that's taking place. We have companies moving in from all over the world, from Mexico, from Canada, from Europe, from China, from Japan a lot. We just had Toyota's going to spend $10 billion, they just announced, on building new plants in this country. Our workers, they're going to be all workers, but they're spending a tremendous amount. So the stock market is set 46 all-time highs, and this last Friday, which is called Black Friday, was the biggest ever online sales that there's ever been by a lot. More Americans are working today than at any time in the history of our country. I mean, these are the facts we have to get out. And, you know, there's this fake narrative that the Democrats talk about, affordability. They just say the word. It doesn't mean anything to anybody. Just say it. Affordability. I inherited the worst inflation in history. There was no affordability. Nobody could afford anything. The prices were massively high. Do you remember when we took over eggs? You did a great job on that, Madam Secretary. Agriculture, Brooke. Eggs were 4 or 5 times higher than they'd ever been. They said, don't order eggs for Easter at the White House. And we ended up lower than what they were before. But the word affordability is a con job by the Democrats. They say affordable. I watched the other day where some very low IQ congresswoman talked about affordability. She had no idea. Their prices were much higher. As an example, energy, gasoline, we're now at about $2.50 a gallon. We're going to be, I think, at $2 a gallon. We could even crack that at some point. I'd love to do it. And we could do it more easily if we weren't building up the strategic national reserves, which Biden emptied out before the election so that he could try and get elected, meaning he started it, then he got thrown out of the race, and she took over and she kept it going, and they emptied out these strategic national reserves, which are really meant for something else. They're not meant to keep people happy with their gasoline price. They're meant for war. They're meant for problems, big problems. He emptied it out, and then she continued it during the process of trying to get elected. Didn't work out too well for him. And they virtually brought it down to the lowest level, I believe, in history. And didn't have much of an impact because the prices were very high. But our prices now for energy, but for gasoline are really low. Electricity's coming down. And when that comes down, everything comes down. But the word affordability is a Democrat scam. They say it, and then they go into the next subject. And everyone thinks, oh, they had lower prices. No, they had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Now, some people will correct me, because they always love to correct me, even though I'm right about everything. But some people like to correct me, and they say 48 years. I say it's not 48 years, it's much more. But they say it's the worst inflation that we've had in 48 years. I say ever. But whether it's 48 years or ever, it's pretty bad. We had the worst inflation that we've ever had. Since last January, we've stopped inflation in its tracks. And there's still more to do. There's always more to do, but we have it down to a very good level. It's going to go down a little bit further. You want to have a little tiny bit of inflation, otherwise that's not good either. Then you have a thing called deflation and inflation. But we have it almost, we'll soon be at a perfect level, but we inherited the worst inflation. But we have 20 states that are now selling gasoline at less than the $2.75. Think of that, $2.75, and it was at $5 under Sleepy Joe. Grocery prices are down with the cost of Thanksgiving turkey this year down 33%. It was lower than 33% lower than under the Biden administration. Egg prices are way down 86%. Thank you. And mortgage rates, despite the fact that we have an incompetent chairman of the Fed, a real dope, who should reduce rates. I saw even Jamie Dimon said he should be reducing rates. I never saw Jamie Dimon say that. I wonder why he said that. But he really said it because he's right. But we have a guy that's just a stubborn ox who probably doesn't like your president, your favorite president. But they're going to be coming down. We'll be announcing somebody probably early next year for the new chairman of the Fed. I talked to Scott about taking the job, but he doesn't want it. You got the greatest job here.
Yes, sir.
Right? He said, no, I want to stay chairman. I want to stay right where we are, Treasury. And I think we're doing really great, aren't we?
We're doing great, sir, and it's a great team to be part of.
No, it's amazing. Under my executive order to lower prescription drug prices, which I think is the single biggest thing we've ever done that nobody writes about because you're fake news. I've made unprecedented deals along with Bobby and Oz and all of the people that work on it. A lot of people that you wouldn't even think work on it, but they do, to slash drug prices by 200%, 300%, 400%, 500%, 600%, 700%, 800%. Nobody's ever heard of it before because I instituted favored nations. No nation. If you're not going to do it, I'm going to charge you 100% tariff, which is more money than we're talking about. And they said, sir, we'd love to do it. Please, we would be honored to do it. And they agreed that they would go along with the whole thing. Nobody thought you could do it because they felt, number one, you couldn't get the drug companies to do it. So we're paying as an example for the people don't ask. But the fat drug was $135. Think of that. For certain people, $1,300 for certain countries, $1,300 in New York. So in New York it was $1,300, and in London it was $135. And a friend of mine called me and said, "What is this? Why is it?" He got used to paying $1,300. Well, now what we have it down to is, Bobby, what's the number? Like $140 150 or something. We have it down to a low number, don't we?
Yeah, it's around 125, 150.
Think of that. So we got it down from $1,300 to $125 to $140, depending on various countries.
Officer Martinez-Walsh.
In other words, we're paying the lowest price, tied for the lowest price in the world. And people
I'll go ahead and leave his call open
you
as well.
could never do that because you couldn't get the countries to agree to it. I did. Every country agreed to it because I said, if you're not going to agree to it, that's okay. I'm going to charge you tariffs. And as soon as I said that, they said, we agree.
4309
Ramsey Street. A little tough with the drug companies, but they came along. The bigger problem was the countries. The countries just wouldn't go along with it, but they did. Every country. So we have reduced drug prices by 500, 600, 700, 800, 900%, depending on the drug, depending on the company, depending on all of the different factors involved. Nobody's ever even thought of drug reductions like that, price reductions. And I told you the story that in my first term I was so proud of myself because I reduced drugs. It was the first time in 28 years that drug prices were reduced. It was 1/4%. 1/4%. And I was so proud of myself. I said, it's the first time in 28 years that drug prices went down over the course of a year, over the course of a presidency. 1 year, 1/4%. I had a news conference. I was so proud. Now I got them down, not 1/4%. I got them down 400, 500, 600% and more. And the fake news won't write about it. And it's going to have a huge impact on healthcare because a big part of it's buying drugs, buying prescription drugs. It's going to have a huge positive impact because Obamacare is a disaster. I said it years ago and I say it now. And the money should be paid, taken away from the insurance company. Obamacare was made to make the insurance companies rich. Their stocks have gone up 1,000% in a short period of time because the money goes to the insurance company. I want the money to go to the people. Let all the money go to the people. And let the people go out and buy their own health care. And I see on television, people are advertising now, we will help you buy health care. We will go out and help you buy. That's becoming like an industry because of what I said. So something's going to happen. It's probably not going to be easy because the Democrats, frankly, they don't want to make a good deal for the people. They just want to make a bad deal for the country. They want to make a bad deal for the Republican Party. But the Republican Party is united. And I will say that what I would like to do is the money doesn't go... Trillions of dollars get paid to drug companies. And you still have lousy health care. Obamacare is horrible health care. We want it to go to the people and then let the people go out and buy their own health care and they'll do great. They'll do great. So we're negotiating that now with the Democrats. Well, congressional Democrats want the largest tax hike in history. I proudly signed the largest tax hike in American history with the Great Big Beautiful Bill. The Great Big Beautiful Bill, the biggest piece of legislation ever signed, and that includes the extension of the original Trump tax cuts. But it's the biggest tax cut ever signed, and it includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security. Nobody's ever seen anything like it, so think of that. And in addition, you get, if you buy a car, this is great for our car industry because we have a lot of car plants. We're bringing back the automobile business.
Is ready.
60% of it was stolen because we had incompetent presidents or incompetent trade people. But 60% of it was stolen over the years, and now I think we're bringing it all back. I think we'll be bigger than we've ever been in the auto business. That's not even to mention AI, where we're leading China. We're leading China by a lot. They're not going to catch us. We have to be smart. But if we're smart, they're not going to be able to catch us. They know that. They told me that. Next year is projected to be the largest tax refund season ever. And we're going to be giving back refunds out of the tariffs because we've taken in literally trillions of dollars. And we're going to be giving a nice dividend to the people in addition to reducing debt. As you know, I inherited a lot of debt, but it's peanuts compared to the kind of numbers we're talking about. So we're going to be making a dividend to the people, and additionally, we're going to be able to reduce debt. And as time goes by over the next 2, 3, 4 years, those numbers are going to go up. And I believe that at some point in the not too distant future, you won't even have income tax to pay, because the money we're taking in is so great, it's so enormous, that you're not going to have income tax to pay. And whether you get rid of it or just keep it around for fun or have it really low, much lower than it is now, but you won't be paying income tax. We've slashed $1 trillion in costly job-killing regulations, saving Americans an estimated $2,100 for a family of 4. The Biden administration was the exact opposite, but times 4. They went up $6,000. We went down $2,100. Think of that. To bring down energy, electricity, and utility prices, I ended the Green New scam. They call it the Green New scam, one of the greatest scams in the history of our country. They talked about global warming and all that crap, and what they've done to this country. What they've done by allowing 25 million people into our country, many of whom are criminals, many of whom 11,888 are murderers, and we have to get them out, and we're doing it. We're doing it. I think what the job that our law enforcement groups are doing, Christi, you and Tom and everybody, amazing. What you're doing is amazing. I terminated the insane electric vehicle mandate, and look, some people that make electric cars weren't happy with that. But we have to do that because you have to have a choice, whether it's a gasoline-powered car, and we have so much gasoline. You know, China doesn't have gasoline. We do. And whether it's a hybrid, which really are working really well, the combination of electric and gasoline-driven. But we, everybody was supposed to, by 2030, everybody had to own an electric car under the Biden stupidity. And not everybody wants to do that. I like electric cars. I like all cars. They're all good. They all have reasons. But you want to be able to go and buy what you want. I oppose historic tariffs that are now bringing in so much money that nobody's ever seen anything like it. And countries that were ripping us off, including allies, but they were ripping us off for years. I won't use the name.
We had a call for a large javelina that was roaming around a neighborhood that was possibly injured. Looks like it was limping around. Do you guys take care of that?
And taking horrible advantage of your country. But now we're making a lot of money. Making a lot of money because of the tariffs that are pouring in. And it's really national security. Among everything else, it's national security. We've also rapidly turned the worst border crisis in world history. I believe we had the worst border ever in history. I don't care if you had a fourth world country. You know, we allow third world country in. We would allow fourth world countries in also. It doesn't matter. There was never a border that was as bad as our border. We allowed anybody in with no checks, no vetting. So we've rapidly turned the worst border crisis in world history into the strongest border in the history of our country. And probably one of the strongest borders in the history of the world, because we have nobody coming through. And I want to thank our people. The Border Patrol is so amazing, ICE, and I want to thank the military for the backup, because they're standing right behind them. And that was really nasty for a period of months, and now it's no longer nasty. Now they don't even come up. Nobody comes up. It's an easy job. It made your job a lot easier because they know they're not going to get through. And we take people in, but they have to come in legally. For 6 months in a row, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted into the United States. You believe that? 0. We had millions of people coming in a year, millions. Now we have 0 for 6 months, and these are given by radical left people that do the numbers. I mean, they're not doing them any favor. They're being honest. We don't have our net numbers are unbelievable. But we had 0 people.
906. Can you show me arrived and patrolling at Ramsey Street?
Illegal border crossings along the U.S.-Mexico border have plummeted to the lowest level ever recorded. Ever recorded. And nobody talks about that anymore. You know, it's crazy. They don't talk about it. You think they'd say, well, Trump's done a great job in the border. This country is being destroyed by the border. But you always find something new. Like, is he in good health? Biden was great. But is Trump in good health?
Still, but
I sit here, I do 4 news conferences a day. I ask questions from very intelligent lunatics, you people. And I give the right answers. There's never a scandal. There's never a problem. I give you answers that solve your little problems. You go back and you can't find anything, but you do stories about Biden was in wonderful health. The guy didn't do a news conference for 8 months. If I go one day, I had one day where I didn't do a news conference, there's something wrong with the president. You people are crazy. I'll let you know when there's something wrong. There will be someday. That's going to happen to all of us. But right now, I think I'm sharper than I was 25 years ago. But who the hell does? By the way, I took my physical. I got all A's, everything. But they said to me, would you like to take a cognitive test? I said, is it hard? They said yes. I said, well, I'm a very smart person. Who was the last president to tell me no president has ever agreed to tell me? When you get into the big questions, meaning 10, question number 10, 11, 12, 28, 30, they get harder and harder. And they said, would you like to do it? I said, well, no reason to do it. Nobody's ever done it. I'll do it maybe, but there's really no reason.
So tonight at about 11
he said, sir, the problem is this is Walter Reed Hospital.
EMS were both dispatched to 4,600
military hospital. And that means that things are,
EMS call.
sort of open. It's not like private.
They contacted
if you do poorly
in one of the apartments,
we'll have
the suspect
probably
began firing rounds out the front door of his apartment.
He said, I won't do poorly. I'm a smart person, not a stupid
the front door of his apartment. He went into the breezeway.
As the doctor will tell you, I aced it. Right, Susie? I aced. I got every question right.
One of my officers was shot in the
leg. These are questions that I would say 99% of the people that are talking to you right now, meaning the people that
only one other officer struck the suspect
would not do well
in the leg. And he is also in the hospital.
But I'm the only one that took it. I got every single question right.
Thank God nobody's going to die.
And then I read in the New York Times, is Trump sharp?
I can't tell you how many rounds total were fired. I can't tell you caliber of weapon.
They're not sharp. That's why they're going out of business, the New York Times.
I can tell you that as his protocol, the officer
losing so much money,
involved, both officers involved in the shooting will be on admin leave until
we have
rehabbed.
We can never let another thing happen like what
suspect
happened to us
will
with the
remain
fake
in our
election,
custody.
with the rigged election,
of course,
where a guy like Joe Biden
course,
assumes the presidency.
Justice system.
Because the man was grossly incompetent.
Right,
and he was incompetent 30 years ago.
Thank you.
But he was
Christi's
really
News at
incompetent
Noon
for those
continues.
few years, and our country was.
Welcome back. I'm
great
always
day
happy to be joined by Corpus Christi Police Chief
for
Mike
6 months
Markle,
in a
who
row,
takes
we
time
had
out of his schedule to
zero
come be with
people,
us
illegal
once a
border
month.
crossings
I want to
along
ask
the
you about
US
something
Mexican
because recently
have
Margie
plummeted to
Rose,
the lowest
retired,
level
our
ever,
design brother,
ever,
was the city
think of that.
manager here in Corpus
And,
Christi.
the
Heath
net
Selman
benefit
has
to our
been
country
appointed to
is
temporarily
enormous,
fill that role.
incalculable.
And he has turned
America
to you
is
for a little
strong,
help.
respected
Now, I
again.
want to make sure I get this right.
On the world stage, we're really respected.
You are now going to be
In fact, I went to a
overseeing
NATO and they were
Parks and
calling me the
Recreation
president
Department,
of Europe.
Health Department, Marina Department, City
doing very
Libraries,
well. We have
and the city's public safety
respect.
departments,
As you know,
in
we have a
addition to being the
problem
police chief here.
Are
you moving to City Hall, or what are we doing?
Ukraine.
No, nobody's moving to City Hall. No,
Okay.
We are not involved in the war monetarily anymore. Biden gave away $350 billion.
City manager can't have everybody directly reported to him,
so
or her. So they need a buffer. They need a gatekeeper. Somebody. This is just a little management for a short time. So
we sell the equipment to NATO, the European nations.
You're not giving up being the police chief.
Love my job. I love being the chief of this
bring it to Ukraine or whatever they do.
Well, and the reason I ask is because there were some questions when we mentioned this, I think, on the air yesterday. Somebody said, he's looking to get into that side of government. That's not the case for you, is it?
No, I was asked. You know, it's like any other event or something we go through as a city. We roll up our sleeves and we work a little harder when we're asked to do so.
Is it normal in a city our size for the chief of police to take on roles like that?
I thought that would be controversial.
I don't know if it's normal. I don't think it's unheard of. Other department heads sometimes accept other roles or additional duties when things happen.
World War I, World War II,
again, this will be for a short duration, and we'll go back to our norm. And and things will be just fine.
Let's talk about how it's kind of set up, because if I understood from what you were saying earlier, there are still people managing those departments. This is not you coming in and taking over the department.
You have strong directors, strong managers with many years of experience.
Every time I end the war,
and just rather than everybody direct reporting
that war, he's going to get the Nobel
Prize. Has a broader perspective now. He has to take care of the city.
Well,
so they'll have.
He won't get it for that war, but if he ever gets it for the next war, now they're saying
that's fine. That's not.
If he ever ends the war with
again, this doesn't
Russia
take you away from what you love doing and what you
What about the other
wars?
It's not going to take me away. It's not going to diminish my capacity.
Think of all the wars they ended.
Yeah, and I appreciate you clarifying that for our viewers.
I appreciate you asking.
All right, hey, we've got a screen I'm going to put up there. If you want more information on what's happening with the police department, follow them on Twitter or go to that website, cctexas.com/police. You'll get some good information. Thanks again, Chief. We appreciate it. Stick around. We're going to be right back with a look ahead to what you will see tonight here on Chris 6.
And last month, 27,000 young people died, mostly young people.
Hey, welcome back. I am always thankful to be joined by Corpus Christi Police Chief Mike Markle, and we're going to talk Halloween, which makes sense. He's a police officer this year, so if you see us out and about, you're not going to go as a police officer, are you?
Give us lots of candy.
Yeah, give us lots of candy. You know, it's a fun night, but there are some things that people have to do to stay safe. So we're going to talk about, there are three things I was thinking of. First of all, children, obviously. Lots of traffic out on Halloween. That can be a problem.
Lots of traffic. Is gone. You know, just remember the basics. Right? Remember where your kids are. Make sure you're there. They have a guardian, or they're wearing an outfit or a costume that's visible. There's still people driving the streets or driving their kids to drop them off in neighborhoods or regular vehicular traffic. So be cognizant of what your kids are doing and
highly respected.
Just be a good parent.
Just be out.
Is that a good idea to drop your kids off in a neighborhood, or would you prefer that maybe?
I would prefer that they're all chaperoned, that they have adults with them. But you know what happens. We know that there are preferred neighborhoods where people go, and that's okay. Just make sure they have a chaperone, and make sure your kids are attended, and that you're watching them and keeping them from darting in, especially the young ones.
Yeah, especially the little ones. Now, you mentioned costumes, something that folks can see, I think is a good idea. Something that folks, the kids are not going to fumble and trip over, maybe, you know.
All the basics, you know, the non-flammable, the ones that fit them right, that they don't trip over and hurt themselves, or is highly visible, all those things.
Sir, he's going to be okay.
Yeah, you want to make sure that what they're wearing is, again, you know, folks can see. I mean, just common sense is what a lot of that is.
That's correct.
When I was younger, I remember we always wanted to take our candy to be X-rayed because we were scared to death. What are some rules for parents when their kids get candy?
I think, of course, in this day and age, in quite a while, you want to eat the candy that is bought. Stay away from handmade things. I would recommend stay away from handmade things, especially from people you don't know. If it's your neighbor that you've grown up with, that's one thing. But if it's something, stick with the Snickers bars.
Yeah, but if you get Rice Krispie balls and candy apples and things like that,
you go back before that.
Maybe not.
You couldn't get people to join the military.
Be cognizant of what you're being given and what your kids are going to do.
All right, folks. Again. Just good ideas. We want everybody to stay safe tonight. By the way, if you want to know what's going on with the Corpus Christi Police Department, here are a couple of good resources. You go to their Twitter page. They're always doing updates. Or the website, cctexas.com/police. Find out what's happening and how you can join in and help, because we're always looking for help. All right, thanks again for being here. We appreciate it.
Washington, D.C. has become a really safe place. And I guess this lunatic probably was upset that the National Guard is so effective, because we were really, really effective, and we are. And Washington, D.C. is now considered a very, very safe city. We had crime numbers a year ago that was so bad. Embarrassment that the city, the capital of this country, could have numbers like that. And Washington now is,
we do not want to lose.
No murders, no this. It's been a miracle also what happened here. And now we're in Memphis, and we're going to New Orleans pretty soon. Over there, the governor called me. He'd like to have us go there. Governor Landry, great guy, great governor. He's asked for help in New Orleans, and we're going to go there in a couple of weeks.
we're doing a real job. Even Chicago's down a little bit because we have a minor force there. We could knock it down within 4 or 5 weeks. We could bring it down to almost nothing. But we have a governor that's grossly incompetent. We have a mayor that's even more incompetent than the governor. He's a very low IQ person.
And the willingness to change.
And typically low IQ people don't make good mayors. So I want to thank all of our cabinet members. They're high IQ. Let me see one. Yeah, generally speaking, a couple of them are concerned.
I feel good.
We have a great cabinet.
I want to get back
amazing
into
cabinet,
it.
amazing
So your last day
people.
on the job,
All
May
of them,
2nd. Here we are, less
some of
than
them
3
become
months
stars.
later.
We're getting credit for the good cabinet, actually.
It's real simple.
And I
Not a
just want to
mystery.
wish everybody
Missed
a
the
great
job.
holiday.
Missed the job. The
We've,
opportunity was there to come back.
They've done a great job with the White House,
Seize the
bringing the White House
opportunity.
back.
Fortune
You see
favors the bold,
the
and-
Palm Court
and like
was
a-
redone. The Lincoln
we have a
bedroom was
gracious city
redone.
leadership
The Lincoln
that allowed me
bathroom
to
is
come
now
back.
gorgeous like it
So I
should
said,
have
I
been.
will. I asked,
Terrible.
and they said yes. And
Green
I said,
tile
here I go.
was never the way it was
You joined the
supposed to
force
be. It
back
was
in
done in the
89. Worked your way up to
1940s,
assistant police
actually.
chief.
But it was not proper. And we're restoring the White House just like we're restoring the country, and people are
When you
thrilled.
announced your
But
retirement,
the First Lady's done a beautiful job with the Christmas trees and all the decorations. I see the wreaths on the windows. I've never seen that
honestly,
before.
the metric
On the
I
windows of
use
the White
was
House.
numbers
It's
based.
4 stories high. I said, how did they get
I was
that
looking at
big?
retirement,
And people going
a
up
new
in
job with
dangerous.
that pay,
I wouldn't
and
want to do it.
the average
But they
length
put
of a
them
major
up,
city police
and
chief.
we have wonderful people working in the White
Looking
House.
for
They're
a
really
good
proud
exit
to bring the building
from a
back.
strong
Because this
platform
building was a little bit like the country.
into
It was
a
mishandled, it
different,
was mistreated.
But it didn't work
And
out.
now
What I
it's
didn't
being
include in
given
there
love.
was how my
And
passion
we're
for the
building
job.
one of the great,
And that
I
was-
think, maybe
I was
the
remiss
greatest
for that.
ballroom.
I
We
didn't
needed it
include
for
how much I
150
love the
years. I've
job,
been
how much
asking
I
you to
love
see
the city,
the trucks
how
and
much I
cranes
enjoy
and
working with the
excavators in the
great people in
background.
Corpus Christi.
And you
All the
hear them, and
leadership
every time I hear them,
all
I
the
love the
staff.
sound. To me,
And I
I
should
love
have.
the sound. I wouldn't say
There's
my
some
life
of
was
those
thrilled.
intangibles.
Here's pile drivers in the background all day, all night. They
It's
go till
cliche.
12
You don't know
o'clock
what you have until
day, night, pile drivers. Darling, could you turn off the pile drivers? Sorry,
position was
darling,
so
that's progress. But no, we're doing great. It's going to be I think it's going to be the finest ballroom ever built, and we're going to have it here. They wanted
Things
it
out in the private sector,
150 years
money
thinking that.
issues.
So I will just end by saying I want to thank the cabinet.
saying,
It's
"I'm
been a great cabinet. Let's
respond
think
by
of it.
saying,
Time flies.
First of all,
this is our last of the
32 years
I
in
said,
service is not a
I
joke.
just think you've done a fantastic job, and we're going to go around the room. We'll go quickly. We're going to go around the
private
room,
sector I
and we'll
worked
start
in
with Pete.
was fantastic.
And you'll
People
tell
were
us about
wonderful.
some of the achievements.
Long-standing
And some of
partners
you have achievements that are
with us in
so
this
big, I
community.
don't want you to go through
And
the
I
whole
love
thing
it.
because we're
This
not
is simply
But
a
we'll
matter
start
of
with
me
Pete, and then if you want, we'll take
from
some
a position,
questions
my
at the end.
co-workers,
Please.
the community.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. As
And
you
the
said,
busy work-
it
the
has
busy
been
work
historic
life.
and
Victor
John Tom, recruiting and retention over this year are at the most historic levels in our country's history.
Let's look further.
I had a chance to be on a aircraft carrier destroyer over Thanksgiving. The spirit in our ranks since the election under President Trump is unprecedented. I've never seen anything like it as a soldier myself in uniform, and I know a lot of you feel the same way. We've ripped out the DEI and the political correctness. It's all merit-based at the department.
We decide everything
We're getting back to basics: accountability, training, readiness, lethality, and that's reviving
people's input
that
matter.
spirit.
You know, it was
Mr. President, we're rebuilding the military historic investments. I just took briefings on the Golden Dome and F-47, next generation capabilities that are going to make sure that for generations to come, America has the most powerful, most capable, most lethal military in the world, which you have rebuilt once and we're rebuilding again. And then we're reestablishing deterrence and credibility. If you look at what happened, we deal with every day the outcome of what happened in Afghanistan, the debacle under Joe Biden. We just dealt with it in the streets of Washington, D.C. with those two National Guardsmen.
Whenever you want to come back.
And then what happened on October 7th with Hamas,
But
what
when it
happened in
came
Ukraine, a
time
war that
for
never
me
would
to
have
seize
started
that
under President Trump,
opportunity,
we're having to rebuild that. So whether it's freedom of navigation and taking the fight to the Houthis, whether it's Midnight Hammer, those beautiful B-2s going 37 hours back and forth undetected, delivering with precision, and Iran not getting nuclear capabilities, Europe and NATO stepping up to 5%, locking down our southwest border. It's been an honor to work with Christi and Tom and everyone else down there to lock it to zero, operational control of our border. And then it's getting after and going after narco-terrorists and designated terrorist organizations in our own country. As I've said, I'll say again, we've only just begun striking
Well, that's good, if we can clear that
and
mechanic.
putting narco-terrorists at the bottom of the ocean because they've been poisoning the American people. And Joe Biden tried to approach it with kid gloves.
I'll tell you though,
And allowed them to
big
come
one
across
is
the
our
border,
philosophical
cartels
approach
take
to
over
police,
community,
right?
20
So,
million people,
32 years
hundreds
ago
of
when we
thousands
came
of
on,
Americans
the
poisoned.
The mantra
And
was
President
chase the
Trump
bad
said,
guy,
no,
catch
we're
the
taking the
bad
gloves
guy,
off.
bad guy.
We're taking the fight to these
You gotta-
designated terror
you have to get away
organizations.
from that.
That's exactly what we're doing. So we're stopping the drugs, we're striking the
mission
boats,
needs to change. It
we're
has to be
defeating
from within,
narco-terrorists,
right? So-
and we're
And
standing
Pete, you may
transition
say
to
one
shepherd
thing,
to
that
traffic
drugs
laws.
coming in through the sea
Officers
by
don't
sea
just
are down
chase bad
91%.
guys. As a matter of fact, when I
And I don't
reach
know
out
who
to
the
academy,
9%
I talk
is.
to
I'm
them,
not
I
sure
say,
either,
if
sir,
you-
'cause
But
you came here
down
just to drive
91%
fast,
by sea.
We've
That's
had a
so
bit
bad
of a
guys,
pause
put 'em in
because
jail,
it's
you
hard
probably
to
can
find
do it.
boats to strike right
That's
now.
what we want.
Which is the
Develop
entire
problem
point,
solvers.
right?
We want them to-
Deterrence has to
our
matter,
officers to
not
interact with the
arrest and
community.
hand over and then
And
do it
that
again, the
transition has
rinse and
happened over
repeat
the course
approach
of
of previous
several years.
administrations. This is meant to get action after that approach. And I would just end by
Great
saying,
transition. I think that's why
as
we
President
have
Trump always has our
community
back,
supports
we
us.
always have the
Well,
back
that's
of our
your retired
commanders
city manager
who are
who
making
gets
decisions in difficult
He's a
situations, and we do in this
highly
case and all
qualified
these
person,
strikes.
professionally trained
They're making
police
judgment
and staff
calls
to move
and
the
ensuring that
department
they
forward and
defend the
continue to
American people.
protect our
They've done the right
community
things.
while we
We'll keep
recruit
doing that,
his
and we have their backs, Mr. President.
Sounds like those are
Thank you
hard
very
shoes
much.
to fill, but then again,
So,